In this video we take a quick look at the Steeple Grange light railway in Derbyshire, near the town of Wirksworth. The line is broken into two portions, a small branch to the quarry and the longer line up the old Killer branch towards the National Stone Centre. There are some 20 locomotives at the railway, some in various stages of repair and restoration and some completed, and they use these for both passengers and demonstration freight trains, on a gauge of 18 inches. The railway uses hand points which are not interlocked with facing point locks of any kind. However, they do use padlocked traps on some of the sidings. They also have a traverser in the main workshops.
They bring the wagons down here, pick the stones up and take them onto the main railway up there. The same as the other. Have you been on the other train yet?
Not yet.
Right, the other train goes up the quarry much further up the hill. Unfortunately, during the 50s, the London North Western Railway owned that railway, decided to take that line up. But they never told any of the private sidings, which these were, the quarries, so they were left with all this limestone down here. They just literally came one day and they found that railway had been taken up. And they had a loco here and wagons. I don't know how they did that. But
So that's going to be a forever then?
yeah, so that was there for 70 years until eventually Tarmac offered us to run the railway. Obviously being older, we've changed it to narrow gauge just to make it easy to work on. It's still quite heavy. The rocks around there we used were polished and they look very similar to marble, so they're used mainly for architectural jobs like Floron, Sheffield City Hall. A number of cathedrals have the same thing as well. They have occasionally thought of taking it out, but there's not even any lorry access, so they were all removed by hand to avoid any damage by stones as well. Right, we get ready for a little wave and we'll go back up. Mr. Smiley in the middle can do it.
There are no signals on the railway itself, though stop boards are used in the main station area. Halfway up the main incline towards the Killer's branch is a level crossing, which is controlled by two operators with red and yellow flags. You'll see that on the way up the main branch. The locomotives and passenger stock used on the main incline is air braked with an additional guard travelling in the rear who has communication with the drivers and the main workshop staff at the bottom via radio link. So that's a ride up and down the branch and the quarry line, and we're going to move on now and have a look at a little separate thing that was going on at the time of the visit. It was the Rail 200 visit, and of course Cromford High Peak, being one of the earliest railways in the country, had its own little display on. One of the volunteers, Martin, had brought along the signal diagram for High Peak Junction, plus a staff for the Cromford section to High Peak Junction, a lever plate, and also a few other small items. A crew lock box for the staff and ticket working. There was two of these on the line. Both of them were actually saved by Martin himself when he used to work for the Peak National Park upon retirement. One has gone to Middleton Top, where it is on display in a collection of bits and pieces up in the engine shed itself, and the other one is actually with himself here, and he's built a crew lock key just to show that off. Now you'll notice on the diagram there's a signal 14. Martin's brought along this signal ID plate, which is the signal coming off the High Peak line, and we reckon that might be number 14's badge. There is a preceding shunt in front, number 9, however, the badge doesn't say shunt on it, so we're thinking it might be a main signal badge, and that's what that is. I opened up the crew box while I had a chance, and I noticed it still actually had the two original screws inside that used to screw it to the wooden floor or wooden bench inside its original building. So it was a nice little thing to see that, the Frieden crew lock box. And also, if we have a look around, we'll notice a few other little things. Martin was telling me that the gentleman who gave him the diagram, a gentleman by the name of Tony, has sadly passed away a few years ago, but the diagram itself is one of 3 identical diagrams, all tucked in behind each other. He's got the original Midland Railway one on display at the front here. Behind that's the LMS diagram, and then behind that is the British Railways diagram from later on. So a nice little nod there to a bit of collecting history, and thanks to Martin for showing us that, and to Tony for actually saving it in the first place. But also would like to thank all the volunteers for showing us around on the day. It was an interesting day. As I mentioned, it was part of the Rail 200 visit, and we've been up to Middleton Top as well to have a look at the steam working off the Middleton engine itself for the first time in 50 to 60 years. That had been done, as it's now air worked. So it was all in all a very good day out, and we hope you enjoyed the video and the little snippets that we've included, and we'd like to thank you, and we'll see you again.